Anglers of the Internet, welcome back to another Advanced Kayak Angler podcast brought to you by Fishing Online, the fastest shipping on the Internet. I'm your host, Kurt Smits. Please like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Now let's get into it. Guys and girls, anglers of everyone out there, welcome back. Man, we're having some crazy weather moving through. Some of our guests are experiencing some super high winds right now, so we may lose one or two of them during the podcast, but hopefully not. And tonight we're going to talk about it's called YakOff, and it's a really interesting concept where people are voting on two anglers' kayaks, and they're in like a playoff type situation. Let me bring the guests on so they can explain it to you in a more in-depth way. It's really fun and interesting and a great way to see how other people are doing things on their kayaks. We have a great group here tonight. Marty Hughes.
Howdy.
We got Yak Fishaholic. Is that what you want to be called?
That's my handle. Yeah, that's not my birth name, but it's Keith.
Keith. And we have Ethan Jett on tonight.
What's up, y'all?
Man, it's good seeing you guys. Thanks for coming on tonight. I know, Ethan, you're experiencing some high winds, and Marty, you're experiencing some high winds. I'm about to experience some high winds. It's like in the next hour, they said it's going to pick up here. Yeah. So keep our fingers crossed that we all our internet stay together.
You guys should be up here north of the 49th, where we have beautiful blue skies and snow-capped mountains today, like plus 9 Celsius. It's beautiful.
Ooh.
Midwest hurricane. Midwest hurricane there.
I'll take my 65-degree weather.
Gosh. Today was nice. For Southwest Ohio, we had 60 degrees. I got out fishing a little bit. I'm not going to lie. I'll take 60 degrees.
We had 60, pretty much 50, 60 all day until the wind. We knew it was coming, but the front hit, and now it's 30 to 60 winds.
Man, that's just that's blowing.
Yeah.
So, where did the concept for YakOff come from?
So it's actually, we've been on quite a few of these podcasts explaining this kind of stuff. Now it's been super fun. So first of all, thanks, Kurt, for having me on, and Marty for having me on every Tuesday. Yeah. And Marty, as you guys know, and Ethan are both contestants in the YakOffs. So I work for Rapid Media, which is Kayak Angler magazine, Kayak Angler paddling magazine. And a few years ago maybe a couple years ago, I had this idea with all these cool concepts and boats in all different sizes and shapes and modifications and DIYs and everything you guys know going on out there. I was like, man, we should bring this stuff together, how they do with semi trucks. If you've ever guys seen those souped up semi rigs and stuff like that, every industry has something like this where you're bringing the best friggin' who makes the best cake, right? They do all that kind of stuff. So I was just like, this is a really cool kind of concept, and no one's really thought of it before. And I'm like, YakOff sounds like a name that's going to get some attention. Plus, it makes total sense. Having a face-off with two anglers, what they did to their kayaks. But it's mostly because as kayak angler and working in the media, we have a big following, and we work with a ton of brands and a ton of anglers. And I was just like, man, let's bring people in. Starting off this first one with 16 professional anglers, if that's what these two are calling themselves these days.
I'm just the fishes.
But it's a really cool way for us to show the audience what people are doing to their kayaks, how they're doing it, why they did it, even for some things that have happened that I was hoping would happen. Some of the audience is given hey man, I fish out of a PA 14 as well. Have you ever tried doing this? So there's this feedback going back and forth, which is exactly what I wanted. There's a bit of friendly banter. which is expected when Chad Hoover is involved in the competition. But no puppies were harmed. That was all a joke, you guys, if you were following last week. But yeah, it's a really cool way to just do exactly that. Just learn about other rigs, how people did it, and find out where you can get the stuff that they used. So we'll kind of maybe walk through that, but when you go, so say you go onto the YakOff Awards page, it'll be the 2 anglers of the week. You can watch their walk around video that I basically asked everybody to give me certain assets basically. So there's a walkthrough video. There's like 5 stable or steady pictures of like the overhead, the port stern, bow, and the aft, and then a bunch of lifestyle pictures. But then there's also a list of all of their sponsors and a list of all of the products they've used. So if you like something, you can go down and find that Yak Attack mount or whatever, and you can link out through affiliates, and it's just a great way for us to help brands with sales, help other anglers find things to do to their boats, help the anglers support their sponsors. So it's just like a win-win, and essentially things have kind of snowballed into a bunch of different opportunities. We have, so there's a cash prize for the angler that wins. They're getting a bunch of things from our sponsors that they're going to be able to keep for themselves, like the human dehooker tool, like a Guardian Angel kayak set of lights. And then we're sending all of the anglers, one for them to keep and use, but one for them to give away on their own channels. So the brands are super happy. It's going really well. We even have a grand prize that was generously sponsored by Hoodoo Kayaks. Newport is throwing in an NK 180. There's a Guardian Angel set of lights. There's a Malone rack, like a cart. And yeah, that's just for going on as audience and voting on who you think has a cooler rig. Not most expensive, just who's done the coolest things, that is your opinion. Then we set it up as like a March Madness kind of bracket style tournament. So everyone could prepare, like Marty brought up, get ready for their betting on their brackets next month, or this month, I guess, already March, crazy. And so it's like 2 anglers a week. People vote, that person moves on, the other one is still involved, and people that have not moved on in the first round so far, we're on our 5th round right now. People that haven't moved on have been still involved and are super keen to help promote it. And just that's our community, right? Kayak fishing community. Everybody shares and everybody's super cool about it. And it's been awesome. It's been super fun getting to meet guys like you, Kurt, and I've been on like 8 or 9 podcasts since we started already. It's pretty sweet.
I mean, it's such a great concept, and what you're doing and how you're working it with the anglers and the companies. It's just really an innovative way to bring everybody together and make it that win-win for everyone, because sometimes it's a little hard for anglers to get their name out and promote products and the whole thing. And it's great to see how you're piecing it together. It's almost like you did it before, man. I mean, it's like how well it's put together. It's really
well, that's our team, right? Like we have a wicked team from everybody on our whole team. When our tech side is really great and our publication side and everything, they know what they're doing. They built a really cool website. So for anyone out there that hasn't seen it, it's just kayakanglermag.com/YakOff-awards. It's super easy. The website is really cool. The logo is pretty cool. We're going to be getting some stickers made. We all love our stickers as anglers. It's gone really well, considering it's only been 4 weeks, and I've got a ton of people asking, and other brands also, that obviously the sponsors are who helps us put this on, and is the reason we can put this on. So we have basically 6 sponsors. A title sponsor, which is the human dehooker tool. If anyone hasn't seen that, you got to go check out the dhukrtool.com. Mike actually was on the inventor of it was on Marty's show, I guess 2 Tuesdays ago, and he stuck a hook in his arm, and did a full live demo. It was pretty cool. I've seen it more times than I need to see it anymore now, but that guy's pretty he's like the human pincushion. But then we've got Guardian Angel Lights is our largemouth sponsor, which is sponsoring the bracket where it's the finals and the semifinals. And then we've already had Hoodoo Sports, which is Hoodoo Kayaks. And then our second bracket was Newport was last week. And then who am I forgetting? Malone Auto Racks is this week, and Vibe Kayaks is the following bracket. So we've got I wanted more sponsors, but it actually worked out perfect. So these 6 brands that totally believed in the idea, and it's always hard, especially as trying to get a brand or something on board when it's brand new. People are like, let's see how this plays out, and then maybe next time, which is cool. But the cooler part is now I have those brands that kind of said no, asking if they could still get involved, and definitely they can down the road. But for this time, we're going to iron out all the kind of kinks. And the plans down the road is to but not only have it as sponsored professional people that do this for almost a living, but do one where it's kids, where there's a pros versus schmoes, where there's a men versus women, where there's rigging teams, like bring in Dugout Tackle or Louisiana Customs, stuff like that. Bring those teams in and see who can do this, and just do 2 or 3 or maybe 4 of these a year. And just keep pumping it out there as long as we got the steam and support. And it's really it's helping everybody. It's helping sales. It's helping sponsorships. It's one of the coolest things, man, is 16 anglers. I bet you half of them didn't know each other. Now they're making dates to go fishing together. And, oh man, I live in Tennessee too, and I've heard about you, but I've never met. And pretty kind of fun being the ringleader of all this up here, way up in Canada by myself.
Yeah, seeing people make connections, man, it's really cool.
Yeah, it's super cool. And I tons of invites to go fishing everywhere, and he's gonna hook up with a bunch of people in July at ICAST, so that'll be fun. I've even lined up some new sponsorships for people and some new kayaks. Hey, Marty?
Oh yeah. It's been
I love hearing that, man. Anything for the anglers, really.
Yeah.
And one of the neat things too for this, I find, and it's not just the companies and the anglers. It's the people that are looking in, the new anglers that are looking for ideas, that they get to see an in-depth, kind of review of all these different kayaks and styles and different ways of doing things. Because that's the beauty of kayak fishing, is that we get to make that our watercrafts are very personal to us because they're not very big, so they become like an extension of ourselves.
Yeah.
Marty and Ethan, man, Marty, you haven't gone yet, right? I know Ethan won one, right? You won your bracket, Ethan, right?
Yeah.
Marty's next week, actually.
Yeah.
Marty's next week?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. He's nervous. Look at him. Look how nervous he is.
I've got the Swiss Army knife.
Yeah.
It has everything, man. But the thing.
I just want to say. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Sorry. I just want to.
Don't worry, you're not really saying it anyway.
Yeah. Nobody can say they've won the very first round except for me.
That's true. That's true. Ever for history.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool that you had 78 entries for this.
For the anglers? Yeah, something like that. It was pretty high for the first kind of show. Put it out there, yeah. And I learned a lot of things too, like asking people we started at the wrong time of year. I was thinking a lot of people around the countries, or Canada especially, but northern US, they're not out necessarily in their kayaks in winter, so let's do it in winter. But a lot of the comments I got back were like, oh man, I just put it in storage. I don't want. I just cleaned it up and put it in storage. I don't want to pull it out to get all these assets for you. So,
mine's more in storage.
Yeah, I'm with you. If the water's open, I'm getting out.
Yeah. Man, we fish up here. The Columbia River is right there underneath that glacier, actually, and it doesn't freeze. So I fish all year too. Just pick and choose my days.
You have open water.
Oh, totally. Yeah, the Columbia doesn't freeze up here. You can ski in the morning and and fish in the afternoon, or vice versa.
Crazy,
Wow.
man.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
The thing that I like about this a lot, especially for the companies that have the products that we use, and by the way, a lot of these products that we use were most likely invented or developed by kayak anglers themselves, who then started a business. I think of 20 years ago when I took a transducer and ran the wire through a snorkel tube and had the snorkel attached to the side of my kayak to protect the wire. And I thought, man, someday I could make this. There'll be like a deal where you can just put your and I never did anything with it, but it helped me. But eventually, yeah, there's guys that had the transducer extender deal, and then you could glue them into the hole, things like that. But these guys have created these products, and now what better way is there to promote them than through something like this? You see actual anglers that have added these things to their kayaks and are using them in a beneficial way,
Yeah. And also how they manipulated these products that people like, say, Wade at Yak Attack or whoever, someone that's put this stuff together. And then if you watch the videos right now, there's something out there that Chad Davison has done where he manipulated this one product and took some parts of it off so it worked better for what he wanted it to do, holding his net. So you get to see that stuff and you're like, man, I never thought about that, but that would probably hold my net better too.
Yeah,
that's why it's cool.
And even on like my Outback, I have those little rod holders on the Hobie rod holders that are horizontal for your rods. I actually have my live scope tube on there, and it fits perfectly even when I'm not using it. And then if I put rods in, I just put it inside. But it serves as a rack for that as well. So you can mix and match things on there and make it work for you.
And see, that's the part that I find so interesting is that there's a dialogue happening.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone's expressing themselves and learning from each other. I just think that's really cool because our kayaks have gotten super complicated, right? I mean, have they ever been more complicated? I mean,
I don't think we're done. I think it's going to be. I think there's
some there.
But here's the deal though. We've got a guy like Drew Gregory who he fishes real basic, and who's won more titles than Drew Gregory, especially like Bassmaster? I mean, 10 of them.
Yeah.
And did that basically a lot of it paddling. But if you look at his setup, he's fit. His style of fishing fits that kayak. Of course, he designed it as well. Which and then you have, for instance, a guy like myself. I can put a lot of things on it, but it's in certain areas I may not use certain things, so I don't have to put them on. Where some guys have them on all the time because they're fishing big water all the time. So that's what's unique about it is everybody it's their style or what their confidence is in fishing.
Yeah, and one of the other cool things too is talking about Drew, for example. He's actually up this week against Chad, and Drew's video walkthrough is how he rigged his boat to fish a shallow water tournament, and what he did with that one, right? Like what he took off and how he did it and why he did this and why he did that. So it's also showing the versatility of the kayak for how he can use it for this. Or like we have other guys on there that sometimes fish catfish, and this is the same boat, but this is his catfish rig, and this is his bass rig, and this is what they do to change that stuff up. So you get to see how you can have one boat and make it do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's just such a. I just think there's going to be so many people learning stuff, man. And that's one of the things I really like. Have always appreciated when I see other people do stuff with it and make it. I mean, it's just such a and it seems polished. I don't know how to tell people. Like when I go to the website and I was looking at it and everything, I was just like, man, this is the first year. And I just almost couldn't believe it. First month. I mean, first month. I didn't even. I mean, wow.
Yeah, that's awesome. I appreciate that too. But like I said, I just had the idea. The team built it all. I just critique things. I'm like, let's make it more Mortal Kombat style. Like, that's where the logo came from, and all that. Like, even my emails to the anglers were like, gonna be cool, Mortal Kombat cool. Like,
The cool thing though, Kurt, is like we have these videos already made. We had no idea what anybody else was doing. We're told to, you know, follow the instructions. Well, there are some very creative things, and it's like, oh man, I want to change my video. Oh man, I want to change this. You know, because you see that, but you have to stick with what you did, and then you know, I mean, you could do it on your own, but the video stays the same, and you can modify your video for your second round if you make it. You know, to make what you're doing,
which is also because you want to keep it engaging and not just go watch Ethan's same video again. Right. Yeah. So if you make it through to that second, to make it fair, you can't do the changes during the first round, because how would that be fair to Ethan compared to who went first, compared to someone's going a month later? So look at this and say, I'm going to tweak it now. But after that first round, you can go and make it do something else, or use some of these new products you haven't had before that our sponsors have given them, show us how they're using them and how they installed it, something like that, right?
So Ethan, man, what was your mindset when you were making your video, when you're looking at the instructions and it's kind of giving you the basic thing to do? What were your thoughts on making your video?
So when I first got contacted, I looked at all the criteria of the video, and it had to be like from 8 minutes to like 15 minutes. And so I sat there and I've done, with my YouTube channel, I've done walkthroughs in the past. So I actually watched some of those walkthroughs and watched other people walkthroughs, and just kind of got it in my head of like, what should I focus on? What should I kind of avoid? And so I just kind of went out, and I actually had a buddy, his name is Ethan as well. He actually was filming me, and thanks a lot to Ethan. And so I just kind of started at the very beginning and tried to do some of the similar things that I did in my other videos, but then also kind of change it up, talk about specifically what I use each product for. You know, with the Hobie 360, being able to turn that pedal drive 360 degrees, that's a really big plus for that kayak. So I wanted to kind of specifically talk about that. And then like my rod storage, I get asked a ton of questions about it.
Yeah.
It's a big I can carry 12 rods standing up. So I wanted to focus on that as well. And then the biggest thing, my trailer. Everybody loves my trailer, my On the Water Innovation trailer. So I kind of showed it off as well. And it's just kind of what I kind of tried to do in my video to make it entertaining. And also at the very beginning, I said, I'm Ethan Jett, and this is my ultimate kayak. And I panned over and did a nice like little cinematic music shot of it, walk through, and I just
had fun with it.
And that seems like to be the name of the game, is have fun with it, right?
Totally, yeah.
Because it's supposed to be
like
a fun.
Chad Hoover last week, he's like, I mean, man, if the name of it's the YakOffs, if we can't poke fun and make fun of it, then we're doing something wrong, right? But I do have to say also that Ethan was the first angler that sent me cash to make sure he was going to get in. So.
So, what was it like when you had to pitch it to those first couple companies? Because obviously, just like you had touched on before, it's a new concept, something that no one else has done. I can't remember anyone doing anything like this. I mean, we've seen bracketed stuff where you're these fish, but it's all been fishing. It has nothing to do with like the rig outs of our kayaks.
Right. Well, I mean, coming from where we come with or coming from where I come from in media, working in media, it made way more sense than doing a fishing thing, because fish don't pay us anything to advertise for them. so it was like, if I want to do this, or if we want to do this, how can we do this so it's going to benefit anglers in general? It's going to benefit sponsors. It's going to benefit brands. It's going to like create new relationships, and just that's kind of how I pitched it. And some people loved it. Oh, everybody loved it. Some people were more in the cool, let's go for it, and some were just like, let's watch it. But I'm talking to all those brands still, and everybody's involved, like wants to be involved and know about the next time. It's going to be now part of our outdoor media sales deck, because it is getting like, we actually have a social girl, Maddie, at work, and she does a lot of our social stuff. And she sent me a message yesterday saying Google picked up the YakOffs through an AI summary. So it's getting enough traffic that Google has automatically summarized it with us not even kind of knowing, right?
Wow.
So that's pretty cool. Yeah.
I saw one.
But the best part of it all is it was my idea, and I'm not looking like an idiot to all these brands and everybody else at work. So not yet anyway.
I think you're looking like a genius, honestly, for coming up with this idea. I mean, it's just it's just such a cool idea.
I'll be honest. I've had a lot of people have never heard of Kayak Angler magazine until I started sharing when I was up, and they've actually told me till like today that they'll look at your website and they love that website. So
Sweet.
Just the growth from everybody.
Just that for sure. And one of those things, I think I probably said this on Marty's show earlier, but Kurt, wouldn't have heard this, I guess. One of the coolest things, another cool thing that's come out of it is, I was talking to brands. I'm like, hey, you're still our partners, and if you don't want to be part of the YakOffs technically this time, who would you like to represent your boat brand or your rod brand or your accessory brand or whatever? Who would you like to, from your pro staff ambassador team, for me to contact to see if they want to come in, so you're represented, right? And obviously, there's a lot of crossover representation through all the different brands. Everyone's got 30 different brands of things on their boat, which is the whole point of this thing. But some of the brands started, instead of giving me that one or two per angler suggestion, blah, 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 here's an email CC'd with Keith and 196 pro anglers on Newport. And then I got 196 emails and some people contacting me. And then I was like, oh, no, I just meant I wanted like you to recommend too. And then before I actually wrote the email back, I think it was Hobie at first, and I was like, I just want you to recommend who you would like me to contact, not your entire team, because it's a lot of people. But then I'm like, these are all like people heavily invested in the kayak fishing industry, and I just got all their emails. So now I'm going, hey, Big Adventures, send me your entire pro staff list. And well, like my contact list got massive, right, from every brand. Imagine how many that is. Like, some companies have 300-400 ambassadors, right?
Yeah.
And then I was getting linked up to stores and all this stuff. And if nothing else came out of it, all of that exposure to those people and bringing the Kayak Angler name, like Ethan had said, and not even that, when you get to the Kayak Angler website, now they're learning about our paddling magazine. They're learning about the World Paddling Film Festival. Kayak Angler, one of the things that a lot of people don't know, is owned by a company called Delta Digital. And one of our partners that I work very closely with is Wired to Fish. So everyone out there knows Wired to Fish, right? So close enough that I got to bunk in a room with Todd Hamill last year in Missouri at the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame. So yeah, it's been very cool. People that had no idea we're like affiliated with them and under the same umbrella. So it's just kind of opened a lot of doors and doing everything that I hoped for and more so far.
Yeah. And I like to say something, Kurt. I thought of some ideas, maybe, people that are looking at the website, the YakOff website, they're looking at the matchups, and they're going, how can I apply this to what I'm doing? And so I came up with some ideas in my help that someone could look for when they're looking at these kayaks and how these people are modifying them. Number one is, how fun is it going to be for me? Like we said earlier. How fun and how much fun am I going to have with this on my kayak? Then also you want to look at the efficiency. How much more efficient will I be with it? Or is it just going to be something in the way? Like Chad Davison with his little lure retrieve feel. I mean, that's efficiency, you know.
Very cool.
Especially if he's using bigger lures that cost a lot of money. We don't want to lose those, you know. And then how does this meet my needs of what I want to do with my kayak? And then I said efficiency, how fun is it? And then with how is it going to help me catch fish when I'm out there? And then lastly is some ideas on how to transport my kayak, because every one of us has I think a different way of transporting our kayak. Like for me, I carry mine on top of my truck because I pull a camper. And, you know, I pull into a gas station and people go, wow, how'd you get that kayak up there? I say, well, I work out a lot, you know.
He's like, look at me.
Most of them believe me, but it's a little, but you know, they look at it and they go, man, that is so, because, you know, you meet a lot of people that haul campers and they're like, we can't take our kayaks because we have nowhere to put them. We can't fit them in our camper. And so that has gotten easy recreational racks a lot of publicity, not even associated with this, you see. So a lot of these products that you're seeing on these kayaks are not even featured or sponsored or anything else. But I can tell you this, it's going to send them some customers for the product. So those are my ideas on that.
It's that crossover of ideas, right? You know what I mean? It's just like someone has a need and a want, and they're thinking about it, and they come on your website and they start seeing all these great videos that people are doing and in unique ways of doing it. And maybe it's not even a unique way of doing it, but it's the first time that person was exposed to it. So it's just the, you know, the movement of ideas, the crossover in the communication. I mean, yeah, this is something that I would, you know, honestly, I'm going to find a way that I can be a part of this next year somehow, because I just like the idea of it.
Yeah.
You know, I really do. I wish I would have gotten wind of it earlier, you know, because like everybody else, you know, I'm always got my head over here or it's over there. I'm not always catching every idea. And I wish I would have caught this earlier, because I really like just the whole concept, the whole idea of this.
The one thing that I want to mention too is the arms race. You know, how many graphs do I need? How much battery power do I need? And right now, I'm going to be honest with you, it's a battery arms race.
It is.
And, you know, and nothing against it. I mean, some of these guys are carrying 500 amp hours of battery on their kayak. And I'm carrying these little tiny, in fact, they're laying right here by the floor. I just carry some little tiny ones with me. And of course I have the Torpedo, but I got to take that back. I do have a 60 amp now for the Newport on my Crescent for rivers, but I've basically gotten by with 2 little 12-volt batteries to this time doing that. And it's less weight for me and less hassle for me. Where some guys, you know, like you stay in an Airbnb with them and they've got all you hear is the humming from the room. It's like a nuclear power plant.
I'm one of those guys, man. On my pro angler, I have 2 units, and then I put 2 Panoptics on there.
Yeah.
Now Steve Owens, in his infinite wisdom, has decided that you can only have one Panoptics or forward-facing sonar transducer now. So I had to take that off. So my kayak has actually gotten a little simpler because of Steve's rules. But I'm like one of those guys. I have to have a giant battery. I have to have a giant charger. And quite frankly, without lithium batteries, the modern kayak wouldn't exist.
Yeah. And the thing is,
that technology has been key to everything because of the lights we use.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just so much. Our kayaks have gotten power hungry.
Yeah. And we used to use just the D-size batteries back in the day for powering stuff. But the thing is, by watching these, people can go, oh man, I can get by with that 12-volt, or no, I need that big one on mine. They can decide what's best for them based on what we're doing, you know?
Yeah.
And I mean, even Drew, who's very simple with his, he still carries 3 Torpedo batteries on his kayak or more, you know, to power that.
A can of chunky soup usually.
So,
I mean, I still have like one. I mean, I've got a few. I'm lucky I get to review kayaks and that kind of stuff too, and have some super decked out boats. But I still have one, my old school ocean kayak Trident 13 from back in the day. And there's nothing on that boat except a milk crate with 2 rod holders, no graphs, no nothing. And I take it on the Columbia just with like 2 fishing rods and just like old school and go by. And I love doing that too. And
one of the most difficult things to organize is tackle. How much? What do I take? Like I've got 12 crates in my fishing office in here right now going before I go to Lake Fork. And I'm like, okay, so one of you guys has to stay.
No.
You need a bigger black pack.
You don't have to take it all in the kayak, Marty, but you got to take it all there.
So I am going to create some content on that, on what I do, because it really does, for me, it works. But I remember one time, and this is just in fun, but Eric Siddiqui, he goes, I got to get some plastics. And he reached out the front of his Hobie and he pulls out this gigantic garbage bag it was full of plastics. Like, how do you find anything in that? That was his organization, you know. But and other guys, you know, even Chad has, he's probably on here. He'll be on here listening probably too. That's good. But he has gigantic boxes in the back there. He's got a lot on there that he can choose from. Now, so for some guys that works. For me, it doesn't, because the more I put on there, the more confused I get. You know, I want to keep it as simple as I can and use 3 or 4 things that I think are going to work for that situation. So I have, you know, and it's not on that video, but, you know, you work from your crates down to your fish crate. And I have a game day box, and then down to small little boxes with samples. And then after you practice whatever, you said, oh, I need more of this, and you go get it, you know?
Yeah.
But I mean, so some of these videos, you're going to see a ton of tackle on them in there. And
is that one of the criterias? Is talking about tackle storage?
I don't think
there's no criteria about no, it's just however you've built it for yourself. It's just we wanted those certain assets of pictures and video and that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, continuity too.
You know, we could put turrets on there with lures in them to fire. You know?
But also when you're like we're talking right now, obviously in the bass fishing world, right? So one of the cool things from my side is seeing comments too from people that are kayak fishing for trout and salmon and different things, and having 15 tackle boxes is not necessary, because you know basically what you're doing. It's not so. There's also not as much tackle for those species, but you know what I mean? So if I'm going bull trout or rainbow trout fishing on the Columbia River, I'm taking like 1 box with me because I know what I'm doing that day. I don't need, it's different.
Here's an example. Today, you know, I went fishing after I taught school this morning. Cool. I go fishing. I took 1 ultralight rod with a Panther Martin lure and a pair of pliers in my pocket, because catching trout, you got to have pliers. And I walked the 5 blocks to the lake down here. There was two young guys they were former students, and they were down there fishing, and they're catching trout one after another down there. But they look at me like, that's all I had. They had big tackle boxes and bags and everything else. And they go, hey, Mr. Hughes, what are you fishing with? I go, just a Panther Martin. We're catching them on hot dogs. And I'm like, why do you have all that fish with hot dogs, you know? And they were catching them. It's just that maybe it's a security device, a security blanket for us, that we have to have them with us just in case. And you know, Kurt, that we have been on the lake, and Ethan, we've been out there where, oh man, I did not bring those with me.
Totally.
And you can catch, you know, guys are catching fish with them, you know. So,
I'll tell you, Marty, I tend to bring way too much stuff, not to get too sidetracked off this, but I tend to bring a ton of stuff on the lake. Because I've had a couple times where I dug into the bottom of my kayak to pull out some obscure soft plastic that happened to be the ticket. It happened to be the one color that they wanted to eat that day, or the one shape. And man, ever since that's happened to me, I cannot pare down. Like I try to, and I'll have a day bag that I have, but I'll still have everything else. My kayak sits so low in the water because it's like soft plastics and hard baits, and just there's so much stuff in there.
That's one thing about the kayak fishing community is, you know, like for instance, Russ Snyder's are pretty good friends. we'll be at a train. He goes, "Hey Marty, you got any of these?" And I'll say, "Hey Rush, you got any?" You know, and so you can trade things and offer things, and then when you see these videos, you can go, "Oh, he uses that. I'm going to go talk to him." You know, and so you know who to go to say, "Hey, what do you think of that?" You know,
Yeah.
But we've done that a lot, and really, you know, like I'm bringing some things down to Texas with me that a couple guys need that they didn't have time to order, and I'll have them on hand with me. Or you have them in your truck. You know, they just see what you're doing on your kayak. And for instance, Ethan, I noticed his video stuff, so I'm having him on Thursday night to give us a tutorial on how to make a video from your phone while on the water. You know, just stuff like that. So we're growing this thing. It's going in the warp speed from this bracket style competition. It really is.
Yeah. And people reposting and realizing how much their social followings are helping, and that's getting passed on. Like on the last it was Sunday, Ethan's last day, and Ethan's on Instagram posting a video. He's like, "Well, it's 7:20. First cast is in 10 minutes, and I want to remind you to go and vote for me on the last day of the YakOff Awards." And he's like, "Gotta go. It's time to fish." It was pretty cool.
Last ditch effort.
Ethan, you've been doing a great job with the social media stuff, man. I just want to tell you that.
Totally.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, it's just a fun little hobby. I enjoy it, and it's I'm trying to teach people, so I'm just trying to keep doing stuff like that. And so,
which is great because, you know, when I first got into kayak fishing, I was basically also just getting into fishing real closely together, and man, there wasn't a lot of stuff out there.
No,
and it was really kind of frustrating because I was just like, how do you fish a jig, right? I didn't want a spot. I just want to know how to fish a jig or whatever it was, you know? And I felt like, man, there just wasn't a lot of stuff out there, where I feel like in the past decade, that's like really turned around. Now it's like, there's almost too much, because you start, listening, you start watching videos, and one person says one thing, and another person says another, but it's really good to see that everyone's sharing their ideas and trying to help more, especially in the kayak community.
You know, to not jump off topic too much, it's how I've always tell people, it's all about your confidence. If you have confidence in throwing something, you're going to catch fish. So if you go on YouTube and watch all these videos and they're doing completely different what you're doing, but you have confidence in that one thing, you'll catch fish. So that's just how I tell people, have confidence in what you're throwing and you'll do okay.
Fish your confidence, man. That's
you
can't go wrong with that.
That's what 11 of my crates are, Nico stuff.
So Keith, where do you see this going to? Like next year, like what's the next level? Like you've got the bracketed system, you know, and obviously I think you're going to have more than 80 anglers next year want to be a part of this.
Yeah. And so first of all, we're going to be doing another one this fall, and then starting with 2 a year and just kind of seeing how it goes. But it's like I said before, we're going to change up and do different themes. So like kayaks under a total of, like, with rigging less than $2,000, something like that, right?
Ooh,
like different things where people are going to get creative, and more people, average anglers, can get involved and learn stuff, because we can all learn stuff from a lot of weekend warriors out there too, right? Like, people don't see that. So just getting more brands involved, getting more. So one of the things I've learned, especially through this one of the reasons I put the grand prize together of that whole kayak package is to encourage people to come and continue voting, be a part of it. Let's grow it, make sure it's a success. But that's one big grand prize. So it's kind of like more like a lottery, like you're going to win that, right? So when you go and vote, you earn an entry for the grand prize. But then also it's a viral sweep contest. So if you go and follow Marty on Instagram and follow Ethan on Facebook and follow Kurt on blah, 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 then you get bonus entries for that grand prize. And so, or go and follow like Newport because they're the sponsor that week. So we switch it all up and watch this video of Captain Mike taking 3 treble hooks out of his own arm that he's stuck in on purpose. Stuff like that, right? So that's what, but one of the things I'm going to really go after next time is having some lower kind of sponsor levels, like a swag sponsorship. So maybe this week it's say Ethan against Marty, and I've got Yak Rod sponsoring this week, and at the end of that week we're going to auction off a Yak Rod, something like that too. So there's more opportunities for people to win things and more brands to come in that aren't like at such high levels of like bracket sponsors and stuff like that. It's just going to keep growing. Like even these podcasts were not even a thought in my mind, and now I've been on a few other ones like yours tonight, and Marty as one of the anglers. So before we started all this, we had everyone was asking me all these different questions. So I was like, okay, guys and girls, let's have one big Google Meets meeting with everybody on it before we start. And then someone said, oh man, we should get a podcast going, blah, blah, blah. And Marty's like, I got a podcast. So then like, what are you doing tomorrow night? I'm like, going on your podcast? And then now it's like every week. And that's turned into even more exposure for our anglers, but more exposure for the audience to ask questions. And for me to also, we've been giving away prizes on the podcast to, like at the end of yours too, I've got something that we can give away to come up with a question to your audience. And then the brands are loving it because they're getting more exposure and getting more products out there. And it's just going to keep growing as long as we keep getting support. And yeah.
And here's something really cool, Kurt. The residual from this. Let me give you one example. So I'm putting on a paddle only tournament this year. No motors, no pedals, paddle only. And of course, Keith's like his brain works like no other when you talk about promotion and naming. And so we were brainstorming about. I called it the paddle for dogs or something like that. And he actually came up with the name of the doggy paddle. So it's the reason why we call it doggy paddles, because it benefits the Hearts for United dog shelter here by Auburn. I have over 200 dogs there. And what I'm trying to do is bring awareness for dog adoption. And
your entry fee too, right?
And the entry fee, the entry fee is dog food. So
I love it.
But through this YakOff competition, the guys that have these products said, hey, that's a place where I could promote my product, because it's getting a lot of traffic from the online and also from the area. And so I have more sponsors for this one competition than I have for all of the events I've done in 20 years combined. It's
And that came up because we had Chris from Hoodoo Sports, the new owner as of last November. We were on Marty's show, and Chris was the bracket sponsor. And I'm like, Chris, we haven't told you this yet, but I told Marty we're going to give away one of your kayaks for this doggy paddle tournament. And he's like, for sure, I'll bring it up and deliver it from Texas. I'll come up there.
Yeah.
And then also that was the Bending Branches, right? Because Bending Branches has a relationship with Marty, and Marty's like, I want to give away a paddle, but I don't know how we should do it.
Yeah.
And it just my mind is weird. And I'm like, well, it's for dogs, right? And the paddle's a Bending Branches. So why don't we get a bunch of kids up there to take a stick and paint it or identify it so it's their own stick, and they all whip it in the lake or the pond. And then whichever dog brings the first stick back, that person wins that paddle.
Oh man,
now he's Bending Branches doing it.
Yeah, and we're doing for the kayak where we have bobbers and we have numbers on them, and we're chucking them in the water, and then you pick a bobber, and you come back with that. We draw your number for that bobber. That's how you win. So it's not just like a drawing. It's like you got skin in the game.
You got to go do something. Yeah,
it's not just stuff like we have some other stuff too. We're doing. It's gonna be pretty cool. And then, they're actually bringing some dogs out. So we're going to have one of their dogs actually swim out and get the stick, which is going to be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Maybe a kid goes, I want to adopt that dog. I don't know. But
let's hope.
I had just tonight, I had 3 inquiries just tonight before we came on about the moms bringing their kids to it, you know?
Great.
And
I love that stuff.
And these are like midday conversations Marty and I are having, not even after a couple beers, coming up with ideas like this.
Yeah. The residual in it is that these companies that are helping this out are finding out, hey, I didn't know that was going on or this going on. I want to help with that. And it just gets their name out there more. Plus, it's all for a good cause. And we're not, you know, there's no money involved in this. It's all about getting people's butts outside in kayaks. That's all it is.
Yeah. Love it, man. I love it. There's so much good mojo going on. I love it, man. I love it.
Cool.
So, I mean, this all started with like a project for work, and it's quickly blowing up for you. And you obviously have a lot of success. You got plans for the next one. I mean, how far are you able to think ahead with how fast it's moving?
Oh yeah, well, I mean, the biggest obstacle to getting it started was basically convincing the team, because it takes a lot of us to get that website going, to do the voting, to do the sweepstakes, to do the advertising, to build the campaigns, all this kind of stuff. Like, we got our own Monday boards just for the YakOff Awards every week we go through. And we already have magazines and contests and film festivals and a million other projects always on the go. But everyone thought it was a cool idea and it would bring in more. And we're always trying to do new, exciting things so we can offer different out-of-the-box thinking kind of opportunities for all of our partners. And it's just like I said earlier, it's just going to keep growing as long as we have people like you guys that keep supporting it. And even like I think I mentioned earlier, some anglers that were voted out so far, they're still totally involved in emailing me and pumping it out on their socials and congratulating whoever won last time. And yeah, it's just, there's no reason for it to stop. It doesn't hurt anybody.
Right.
And we mentioned here, I don't know if was it one of the shows where we said someday there's going to be like kayak shows instead of car shows?
Yeah, we were talking about like a parade outside of ICAST or something.
Yeah,
I'm going to the Yak show this weekend. They're having a down there. They're going to vote on the best kayak. So this could be a trend in like big cities, you know, or whatever, or events where you bring.
That's kind of a good idea, man. For you know, like a retailer that does like a rigging party.
Yeah, and
have a little contest.
Think about it. When
so Marty, remember there were some ideas we're going to roll out slowly. Remember?
I know. I'm getting ahead of myself. But think about it, though. How many times do we go to a big event where there's 200, 250 people there? Yeah. You never really see all the rigs. You see them on their trucks or their trailers. But wouldn't it be cool if they had like a afternoons, you know, a couple hours schedule where you rig your kayak there in a parking lot and everybody goes through and you vote on, you know, whatever, you know.
That would be cool. That'd be fun.
And then people can get ideas that way. So your YakOff idea, Keith, could progress to something like that, you know?
Yeah. So have like the car pulling the kayak on the trailer with the angler sitting in it into the arena. Yeah. And instead of pulling your bass out like in the classic, you got like a 12x12 photo.
Yes. I love that, man. So I love that idea.
That idea. I was thinking of that idea like at the classic type thing where you let those guys bring their kayaks through with their truck, and then they stand, but then you have their fish up on the big screen. They get flash
photos,
their photos of their fish, which they kind of do already. But that would be the cool thing, is to have it, because people don't. When people go to like the classic, I'm sitting with them and they're going, "What kind of?" So are those kayaks very stable? They're thinking of an Eskimo skin type or a skin kayak. That's what they're thinking, and they don't realize that these are like mini bass boats, you know, pretty much anymore. And but when people, like when you're at a dock or whatever, and people go, "Man, that is a really cool looking rig." I said, "You ought to see my friend's down the way. He's coming up here. What do you see his? You know, and, this is nothing." So those are some ideas for the future that might, you know, who knows?
Yeah. And why not have fun with it, right? We're all in the business of having fun. So
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
That's what makes it all work, man. It's having a good time.
Yeah. Totally.
Well, guys, I've had you on here for about an hour. I want to be respectful with your guys' times. I really appreciate everything. I'll give you guys each a chance to thank whoever you want to thank or promote whoever you want to promote. Marty, you want to start?
sure. Well, I mean, I've got numerous people that I partner with, and it's quite a list. But I just do appreciate all that they do. And the thing is that for me, it's about promoting kayak fishing from the beginning when I started this, long time ago. But I also want to thank Keith and Yak Angler for what they're doing, because what they're doing is, we've heard these things as kayak fishing dead and all this. No, come on, people. It's bigger than you ever thought. And what Kayak Angler Kayak Angler magazine and all their other conglomerates are doing is they're bringing us all together, and they're making it something fun. They're educating at the same time, and they're helping us make it safer, because people are, there's obvious things that people are doing to their kayaks that could be unsafe, but you're seeing some really cool ideas. The creativity is unbelievable. And I want to thank you guys. Thank you, Kurt, for helping to grow this even more through this,
Totally.
what we're doing. So that's all. I just want to thank all the people that are just, got skin in the game with this thing and are help promoting kayak fishing. And I just, when I leave this earth, I just, I hope that, we've all made a small difference in people's lives and enjoying the outdoors.
Well, I think you've already made more than a small difference in a lot of people's lives, Marty.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Keith, you want to go ahead?
Sure. Yeah. Well, first of all, thanks to you, Kurt, for having us on and getting us even more exposure out there, and totally love the enthusiasm and the mojo comment, and it's like I said, I'm not sitting here with egg on my face because I thought up this thing and nothing worked. So it's very cool knowing it has legs and it's moving forward. And I totally want to thank all our sponsors. And on that note, do you do some giveaways on your show here, Kurt?
Absolutely. Anything you want, man. Anything you want. This is your time.
I got some stuff to give away, but let's what kind of questions, what do you want to throw out there? How about this? I'll let Marty and Ethan each ask a question to your audience, and first, like we do on Marty's show, first one to answer Marty's question we'll give the human de-hooker tool and a year subscription to Kayak Angler magazine.
Oh wow!
So we are not live right now. This is recorded.
Yeah.
So this will air tomorrow.
Okay.
So it's going to air really quickly. So however you want to do it, I just want you to know it's not live, so I can't see anyone's comments or anything right now.
Gotcha.
You could take the first comment that when you publish it live, the first comment that's up there, you could say, okay, this guy wins the prize, whatever.
Okay. Yeah.
Sure.
Question? I got one.
So Marty's going to ask a question. The winner of Marty's question will get a human de-hooker tool and a year subscription to Kayak Angler mag. And Ethan's question, winner will get a kayak light kit set from Guardian Angel and a year subscription to Kayak Angler mag.
Man, thank you so much. I was not expecting this. Thank you so much.
And do you need one, Kurt? Have you ever had a de-hooker tool?
I have not had a de-hooker tool.
Oh, first of all, if you're at ICAST this July, you gotta meet Captain Mike, hear his story, or go back 2 weeks ago on Marty's podcast and listen to that story and how he came up with. He's an actual emergency room doctor for the last 30 years and a captain of a fishing boat in Florida. Pretty cool story, but I'll get one sent to you as well, Kurt. And Kayak Angler mags, because I like giving out Kayak Angler mags. Just watch out for paper cuts because they're actual books. All right, Marty, you're up.
So, my question is, who was the very first winner of the first bracket of the YakOff Awards? Who was the first winner? There you go. Answer away.
First person who answers it in the comments.
Yeah.
The first correct answer.
First correct answer. Yeah. There you go.
Okay, stop with the big smile there, Ethan. You're gonna know. All right, Ethan, you got a question?
Alrighty. So, who was the person to win the Bassmaster class or Bassmaster on Kissimmee over the weekend.
Oh,
Good one.
That is a good one. That is a good one.
That is a good one.
yeah.
And Ethan, you want to thank some people?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like to thank Out Bait and Tackle. They provide everything I need to fishing. Hobie, I couldn't be out there on the water without Hobie on the Water Innovation. I really like to thank you, Smitty, for inviting us on here tonight. And then Steve with the YakOff Awards. It's been an honor to be part of the 16 anglers to be invited. Kind of like what Marty said, we the kayak community is just all over the place, and the YakOff Awards kind of brings us closer together. And we're just a big family. It's just an honor, a very, very big honor to be part of that. And I just like to thank everybody for that, to be just a little bitty part of the big old world of kayak fishing.
And going down in history as the first ever bracket week winner.
Let's answer the question.
Oh, you're a new poster boy.
New poster.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Oh,
The one of the thing though, Kurt, is I really do like how Keith matched this up with March Madness, the bracket. So it gives it some impetus, going in and some fuel.
Yeah. I mean, was that intentional for the timing, or was that you were just going to do brackets anyway, or?
It was going to be brackets because it was the easiest way to do it and get people that I thought everyone knew what a bracket was, but a lot of the people on my staff had to be taught that. So this is how it works. This is how it works. This is how they move on. And then also, like, our brackets are sponsored by, so if you're bracket one, kind of like north, south, east, west kind of brackets, right? But if you're the sponsor of this north bracket or the first bracket, then you've got those two battles, and then you're not the sponsor again till it cycles through to the second round, and then you're in that one. So it took a little explaining and some drawings and pictures, but we got there.
Yeah, I like it, man. I like it.
Yeah.
Well, everyone, thanks
again for having us on, man.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate all the effort you're putting into this too. It brings a lot of light to a lot of anglers, and it's helping a lot of people. And it's just such
super fun.
Super fun. Yeah. It's just super fun.
Super fun. Super great community. Getting to meet a bunch of people I didn't know before. Like, I didn't know Marty and Ethan before we started this less a month ago. Now we've got like fishing dates set up, and people going to be at ICAST in July because I get to go down there every year too. And yeah, it's just pretty sweet.
Yeah, July will be here before we know it too, man. It'll be like,
it's crazy. It's already March.
Yeah.
Nuts.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick, Keith, before we go, I'm going to give you a call right after I have some news for you.
Okay. Well, we also have a podcast in 55 minutes again, Marty.
Right.
And so, Kurt, whoever wins those prizes, just if you can shoot me an email. You have my email now. Let me know, and I'll get those directly shipped to all three of them. Send me your address as well.
Okay. As soon as they post some stuff, I will get it right there to you. And
there you go.
Get these guys all squared away. Thanks everyone for listening. Thank you guys for coming on, and we'll see everyone next week.
All right.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.